Good evening. I'm joined here tonight with two similar bass trombones, and tonight we're going to be comparing the Jupiter 740RL with the King 7B. Now these bass trombones both have a number of similarities. They are both bass trombones, they're both in the same key, they both have standard rotors, they both have an independent rotor configuration, they both have an open wrap design, but there are a number of differences as well. The Jupiter has a 10-inch bell compared to the King 7B's 9.5-inch bell. Not a huge difference, but you may be able to get some idea of that if I hold the trombones like that. This trombone has a rose brass bell section, whereas this is a yellow brass section. That difference may not be too apparent with the lighting that I have here. But also the King has a larger bore. The difference in bore size between this trombone and this trombone is about 0.4 millimeters. It's not a huge difference, but it means that the mouthpiece fits down this lead pipe a whole lot more than it does down this one. And probably the most mechanical difference between these two is in the linkages. Anyway, I've talked about the grips of each of these trombones, and I've talked about each of them individually in previous videos, so have a thumb through my channel to find them. But this video is going to be concentrating mainly on the experience, the difference in experience between the two. What I'm going to do is play a little bit out of a Theme and Variations piece called Barnacle Bill the Sailor. Theme and Variations, on Barnacle Bill the Sailor. Not getting that note, sorry. And now the same thing with the Jupiter, the newer trombone. Sorry, still can't get that low C. So that that's a bit of a difference auditorily. You'll be able to hear what differences exist between these two instruments. But now let me talk about the experience, the difference I feel as the person playing the instruments. Well, this trombone is substantially lighter. The slide is a lot lighter than it is on the King. The trigger mechanisms, one of my own personal points of contention, my preference is for a mechanical trigger system, and that's what I prefer even after directly comparing these two instruments. This trigger pivots right here. The trigger on this Jupiter trombone pivots right in the middle at this point there. Whereas the trigger on the King doesn't pivot back there, it pivots right on the side here. That gives it a much different feel. It is a much heavier trigger. There is a lot more energy that is required to press this down than what there is in comparison to the Jupiter. Now the last comparison is between the bore and the bell sizes. This trombone has the bigger bell but the smaller bore. What that means is that this part is bigger and these tubes are narrower. What that means is this takes less air but produces its low notes a lot easier. It is a lot easier to pump out some low notes than what it is on the other trombone. That is particularly important when the first note of this piece is a low C. It is very easy to play that note. There is a lot less resistance. It is projected a lot easier, but the payoff you get with that is that it's not as warm. It's a thinner sound, a louder sound, a sound that projects further, but it has less substance to it. So this has been a discussion about the difference in experience between playing a slightly newer trombone with an older style trombone. It also illustrates the differences between brands, but mainly the differences between configurations. My personal preference is to have a lighter bass trombone, such as is found with this, the mechanical linkages, such as is found with this, the slightly smaller bore and the slightly bigger bell, such as found with this trombone. That is not to say that it is a better trombone. The quality, the workmanship that goes into this trombone and the smoothness of the slide are far superior on the King.